Hello everyone, howdy, hi, welcome back to my channel and today's video. This is a topic I decided I wanted to highlight on my channel just because it is so integral to my life over the last 5 years. And it just feels now more than ever, these are things I personally want to figure out for myself. This may be an opening of a conversation for those of you out there who maybe have your own concerns and you just needed that push to also seek guidance that you may need. And I also want to open this video up with statistics just to foster the conversation for anyone that's in the targeted age group or the recognized age group through statistics, because I think it's important to highlight these numbers. Young adults who are aged 18 to 25 have a higher prevalence of any mental illness, but specifically more severe mental illness. The age group of 18 to 25 is also more likely to be less treated than those of older age groups. So not only are 18 to 25-year-olds more likely to have a mental illness or a serious mental illness occur, arise, be diagnosed, but simultaneously are less likely to be treated for said disorders compared to older counterparts. Reflecting over the last 5 years of my life, I would say 2021 is when I just found myself behaving differently than I would before, in the sense that how I responded to things and how I perceive the world around me has changed. And genuinely, since 2021, I would go as far back to say 2020, but it wasn't that bad. And 2020, over the last 5 years to now 2025, I have personally felt that things have gotten worse. I haven't found an answer. I haven't found that day where everything turned back around and I'm ready to just tackle life. No, I find myself trapped in a loop, stuck in a cycle. I like to call it the Twilight Zone, where it feels like that first day where things were wrong, now every year they get worse and they're still bad and everything's still wrong. And I can't quite fix what I think is wrong or find the answers to not feel the way that I feel, which is why I'm now at a place where I'm like, I can't keep going like this. So I want to read off my notes for this next part, but I'm luckily only stuck in a dark place. And what I mean by that is I'm thankful that despite it all, despite the way I feel, despite the situation I've been in, despite everything going on around me, I'm at a place where luckily it's just that place. My life is so mundane right now, but God willing, it becomes the big, beautiful, colorful life that I want it to be. And I may need a therapist for more than once a month at that point. But right now, the things that drive me a little up the wall are the same things every day for the full 30 days on average with each month. And it's the fact that nothing changes that causes me to get into those headspaces or feel the way I feel. And I could even get to what I consider my goal and not want to be there. But issues such as dopamine really just being non-existent and finding dopamine hits wherever I can, to food noise, to I don't even know if it's still stress eating or if it's just straight up like environmentally induced eating. Sometimes I don't even think I'm stressed. It's just my body always feels hungry, which is not going to fly when your caloric deficit needs to be 1,200 calories. The other assessments and things that I find, will I find the answers of why weight loss has also been so hard for me and why eating has never felt like a normal function of my body like other people. I have done some further research on straight edge living, and it sounds like from some of the stuff I've read, the individual who pioneered this concept and this mantra of lifestyle and living is also vegan. And would I consider veganism? Yes and no, because every once in a while I do crave meat. I recently craved steak and I let myself have the steak, but there's often times where I eat and I'm like, I actually could have went without meat for this meal. In fact, for example, Chipotle, I've decided if I eat at Chipotle, I don't even get the tofu anymore. I just get the veggie bowl with veggies, and it comes with guacamole, maybe some rice, maybe some salsa, and that's a perfectly fine meal for me. So I could see myself cutting out 90% of animal products. I live in New York though, so if I go to eat out or if I go to a coffee shop, often I'm paying extra to have things vegan. So then it becomes a question of, oh, do I just like eat and drink all the time before I meet up with people, before I go anywhere? That's questions for another day, right? But I will consider veganism as someone who's trying to finally hit her weight loss goals. As I said, my caloric deficit's 1,200 calories. If cutting out meat helps me meet that caloric goal every day, I'm here for it. If it helps, it helps. But I don't think personally that you have to also be a vegan to also follow those other principle beliefs of what straight edge is. And I won't even say to the extent I consider myself like 100% straight edge. More so, if you look up what a straight edge person practices, a lot of that is what I do. So it's easier to say I practice a straight edge lifestyle than it is to say I'm sober, I don't smoke, I don't do any other sort of recreational drugs, I don't partake in certain behavior. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it gets to a point where you're just like listing off all the things, whereas you could just say I'm straight edge. Of this video, I'm going to be reflecting back on my notes in this, and I'm gonna be honest, now that I'm filming this sounded like such a great idea when I wrote it out in July. I'm filming it now in August, and I am a little nervous to post this. I don't think I've said anything wrong in this video. It's just very vulnerable to say I've been going through it. Like, no one understands, and trying to explain it has been a nightmare. I don't have the words to explain how hard it is. And as I've gotten older, as I've said over the last 5 years, I'm to a point where this takes up 90% of my life. What would be a normal hormonal cycle for other people like me, it's roughly a week per phase. Whereas the phase where the hormones are low, you're going to be a little bit more lethargic and tired and exhausted, and your mood's not going to be there, and you may just overall, I think of Eeyore. That phase for everyone on my hormonal cycle, I experience that now for up to 2 to 3 weeks. And if it's anything like this past month, if my cycle is off for whatever reason and I'm delayed an extra 2 weeks, that means I'm in this exhaustive, low vibrational, low energy, low mindset state for 4 weeks. And then I still have to go through the other cycles before I get to the happy cycle. And sometimes my happy cycle is at most a day or 2. And that's all I got. So it's been very hard. And my goals for this journey and just sharing my story is I'd love that I find the answers I'm looking for, but also that maybe by addressing my mental health concerns and having a sound mental well-being will also somehow aid me with my weight loss journey, because my weight is something that also impacts my mental and my psyche and my overall well-being. I want to feel healthy in my body and my mind and in my soul, and I think that my life will change once I find that equilibrium amongst all these parts of me. I'm also hoping that it won't be difficult to think happy thoughts, because that is something very hard for me. And I also hope especially that in these answers, the food noise will also disappear. Those are, I would say, the biggest concerns I have and the biggest struggles I've been going through. And I want to thank you for listening to this, because you essentially listened to me talk about my story and the things that are going on with me. But I do hope that it reaches someone where you either are going through this too, so that you don't feel alone, or maybe it inspires you to want to find those answers for yourself. If you're like me and you're at the beginning of this journey and you hear everyone say you're not alone, or just go to therapy, or things of that nature, and it's actually not that easy. I've looked at practices for years and places are booked out, and I've just accepted I'm gonna have to do maybe the telehealth route, but I don't want to delay my peace of mind any longer. And I hope for all of you watching that the same is for all of you, that you are of happy body, mind, and soul, and that things get better for you as I want them to get better for me. Thank you for watching this video. As always, you're so important, you're so loved, you're so blessed. I will see you in my next video. And until then, be safe and take care.